Hello, hello.
Hello, Outer Banks Association of Realtors. This is Donna Creef, your Government Affairs Director with Willo Kelly, your CEO, and our guest today is Chairman Bob Woodard of the Dare County Board of Commissioners. This is your latest edition of Let's Get Real, and we're going to talk with Chairman Woodard today. He has his State of the County address scheduled for next week, but by the time this airs, that will have already happened. But we figured we'd have you come in and give us just a little bit of some of what you're going to be talking about, since not all of our members will be able to attend. The event has sold out from what I understand.
Yes, it has, Donna, and it's the 18th, Wednesday the 18th at Captain George's.
And so, yeah, Willo and I will be there. So those who aren't able to attend in person, it will be shown on current TV afterwards, though?
Yeah, we're taping it. We're not live streaming it, but
right, but you're taping it, yeah. So it's always a good event, always very well attended. Sometimes each year you try to do a little bit of a different flair. What are you doing this year?
Well, I have. When
you've been doing this for many years.
This will be my 12th State of the County.
Goodness gracious, okay.
When I became chair in 2014, the county had never done a State of the County or a stewardship report. And, I just feel like it's our legislative responsibility to do a legislative report in a State of the County and share it with the community. So the first couple of years I did it from the dais at the board meeting. I said, no, we need to get this out in the public. And it's really, knock on wood, it's really popular.
It's always a good event.
Yeah, it sells out within a couple of weeks. We're sold out again, and I try to do something a little bit different each year. Both of you ladies know me. I'm not a podium guy.
No.
Oh no, you weren't at the podium when you gave it there at the meeting room.
Right.
You would be in front and talking to the folks.
Yeah, I'm just not a podium guy. I like to work the crowd. I like it to be personal. I like to.
I think that adds to the success of it.
So I'll do that again. A little bit different this year though. I'm gonna show you my calendar each month.
Oh my gosh.
And when you see it, it'll blow your mind. But I'll have a picture of my calendar up on the screen for each month. And then what I'm going to do is highlight the
This is where you make it hard for somebody else to consider running for office. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do I really want to do that? Because you're everywhere.
Yeah.
And you have to be in two places at one time a lot.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right. As a matter of fact, I got 2 places to go after this.
There you go. Well,
here, but anyway, it'll be my calendar, and then I'll highlight 3 or 4 successes that the board's had during that month, and talk about those issues that we have. So a little bit different.
A little bit different. Well, that should be interesting. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And even, you say you're going to have your calendar up there. Is it the calendar for 2025 or just for the past 3 months? Or
it's the calendar of 2025 that my personal calendar, that I'll have up on, because we're doing a stewardship report for 2025.
Right,
so.
Right.
And even when you look back, you get so caught up in what's going on currently, you forget what happened in January sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of the issues are still going on, some of them have been
That's
resolved, and then you're just like, wow, I forgot all about that. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to do that, look back like that.
And one of the things that we stress in our Government Affairs Committee, our Government Affairs Program, is that you have to be engaged to be informed. But then you have to be informed to be engaged.
Yeah.
And so providing this information to the public and providing, even more transparency of what's happening. We say here all the time, if real estate is your profession, politics is your business. I mean, everything with regards to zoning, regulations, private property rights, insurance, everything. And so, but you got to keep the people engaged, and then you get the information. But they also need to have some information to be engaged.
Right.
So
well,
you've been doing it for 12 years.
This is awesome that y'all do this monthly, because you have such a large captive audience, so to speak, that you get a lot out to the real estate industry. and
We
it's
try
important.
to, you know, and not all of it is land use. Like we had, you know, Dorothy and Caitlin in last month talking about the A250, but
Yeah.
still, that's important to our membership because, you know, particularly the property managers are bringing everybody in. But, you know, you guys have so much, so it'll be interesting to see the topics that you cover because there's just so much. And even just in the past 3 months since the beginning of the year, it's hard to believe it's almost St. Patrick's Day. You guys got the parade
You got
coming
the
up
parade
on
coming up
Sunday.
Sunday.
You know, we've got the continuing issues in Buxton, the NC-12 hotspots, the beach nourishment, and the threatened structures down in Buxton and the CRC. Are you hearing reports that the CRC is going to be successful in trying to get that ban on hard construction lifted, or?
Well, they're helping us with that. I think y'all are aware. I'm pretty sure the public's aware, and I know you ladies are aware that I sent a letter back in November.
Yes.
I said, you know, I've got to speak to the legislature. Enough is enough. And so I sent a personal letter to every senator and House representative, personal letter, so that they would personally get it. Matter of fact, it took me about 3 hours to sign all of them. I wanted to be a personal letter to them. And the three issues was, you know, the state several years ago set aside a fund for beach nourishment, but they never put any funds in it.
Correct.
So my question, my letter to them was, we need to fund it annually. And I didn't speak specifically for Dare, I spoke for the entire state of North Carolina because we have 300 miles of coast.
Yeah.
The second thing was, as y'all are aware, that we have a final report on a NC-12 task force that I formed, and we have solutions to handle the hot spots, and I sent a copy of that with the letter with them saying we need a short, long-term NCDOT plan. And then the third thing was we needed to eliminate the ban on hardened structures.
Yeah.
I have really surprised. This was done in November. Well, I didn't hear anything until January from a key senator, Rabin. And he said, Bob, he said, I got your letter. And he called me and he said, I'm calling you on my personal cell phone. He said, here's my cell phone number. I want you to keep it. We'll text each other. He said, I don't give this out to everybody. He said, but what you said, he said, we need to do all three of these. He said, I'm totally in favor of them. He said, as a matter of fact, he said, I've been in the state legislature for many years. I've never received a letter requesting something from the state legislator in such respectful terms. He said you weren't accusatory. You were just strictly factual. He said, for instance, the beach nourishment, he said, y'all take care of yourself. I know that. He said, y'all, to date, when we do this latest Buxton, it'll be $300 million that we have spent. We have spent on nourishment. And he said, I understand where you're coming from. We need to have skin in the game too. So he said, there was a very respectful letter. And he says, never received a letter so respectful and asking for something from the state. So he said, I commend you for that. So it made me really feel good. Well, we text back and forth ever since. And just last week, Bobby, out in the county manager, and Murray Ellen Balance, our Hatteras Island commissioner, and myself we went to the transportation oversight meeting, but after that had a personal meeting with Rabin and Lazar. Both of them are on board. They want us to we're in the process of sending them some data so that they can go to bill writing to write some bills. So that's extremely encouraging.
And so we go back to 2009, I think it was, that the first beach and inlet management plan was developed.
Yeah.
Then, a few years later, updated, and then it was updated, I think, a second time.
Yep.
And it seems like we go through these studies, and this was when there was federal dollars available, and then that dried up, and then so it was so these areas of the coast wouldn't be competing against each other for funding, and how to come up with a sustainable source of funding, because if our only option is to retreat or throw sand on the beach, then we shouldn't, you know, there should be a comprehensive plan in putting the sand on the beach and then looking at these territories along the coast and, okay, we're gonna do this time, this time, and to have some support from the state to where you see in other areas of the state and the economic development grants and whatnot that take place, and we don't see that here, you
Right.
know. So, you know, that is our economy, that is our
Absolutely.
economic development, that is the reason why,
And we
you know, we
donate
have this.
a lot of money to
Oh,
the state
it's-
of North
we're a donor
Carolina as
state
well. We're the
when it comes to
fourth
sales
largest
tax.
visitor, you know.
Mhm.
Well,
And
and
so-
we're Donna County.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Donna
what I'm
County.
saying.
Let me
yeah,
give,
yeah.
let me give you an example. From 2004 to 2014, we sent the state $85 million.
Wow.
Wow.
I just got the numbers from 2014
Mhm.
to 2024, and we've sent the state $68 million.
And that's supporting schools in other parts of the state.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tremendous, and that, you know, we do, but when it comes to other folks, so the fact that he's recognizing that your letter was not accusatory, it's like, where's our share? All of that is great, but, you know, just in the many years that I've been doing this, and we see like, okay, let's do something here, and we got the funding, was it for the inlets or the dredging? Wasn't there some
Yeah,
matching funding
that's right.
for that?
Yeah.
So we got that, and then that premise was if we can do it for this, why not for beach nourishment
Right,
and create
that's
this fund? So we're not all trying to, you
Right,
know,
well, and I,
to
you know,
projects.
we have policies, the OBAR has public policies, and our policy is for the funding of the beach nourishment. It's for the, you know, consideration of
Right.
alternatives to the ban on hardened
Mhm.
structures, and also, so, you know, we can certainly do whatever may be needed to offer support for what you guys are doing. But let's talk just real briefly before we end this, because the
Let
biggest.
me
Okay,
go back
ahead.
to, let me go back to nourishment
Okay.
real quick, if you're gonna ask me a different question, but I'm not sure the public's aware, but there are two House members in New Jersey has introduced a bill to take the proceeds from offshore drilling and wind farms to do nourishment up and down the coast. Only problem with that is they're advocating for that for coastal Army Corps projects. Well, we don't have any
We don't
Army
have an
Corps.
Army Corps
Right.
project.
So
yeah.
I've reached out to them with our legislator, Murphy, trying to get him to talk to those two legislators to open it up to third parties such as ourselves. But we're all in favor of that, to use those proceeds, but I'm also want to be cautious that I don't want them to come back with us, that'll open up
Yes.
Pandora's box
Yes.
for drilling
Yes.
off our
We always
coast.
run
I
that
think
risk.
that nexus, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we've already issued a reaffirmation just recently that we're opposed to offshore drilling.
Yeah,
So,
there doesn't need to be that quid
Right.
pro quo, yeah.
yeah.
So the question I was gonna ask you about was the issue that's come up in the news just in the past couple of weeks, is the Mid-Currituck Bridge.
Yes, we
Yeah.
had a RPO meeting
Wednesday.
Wednesday. It's difficult. What the state is saying, it's a lot of details to this.
The way that they do their funding is so complicated, and
That's
it's so hard to
the step.
understand, yeah, it's,
There's
their scoring is just.
There's 40% of the transportation funds go to the state. 30% go to the region, and 30% goes to the division. Our division, 30% is 9.6 billion. That, you know, that doesn't leave a whole lot, because 14 counties in Division 1 have to lobby for that 9.6.
Doesn't go very
Well,
far.
And so it doesn't go very far. What NCDOT, here's the bottom line is, we're short $1 billion to do the bridge. You know, they've already spent, NCDOT, $60 million
Right.
just in permits and
Right.
fighting stuff. So this is only gonna increase.
Correct.
You know, the cost of the bridge. We're short $1 billion, so how do we make it up? I say, how do we make it up? the only way to make it up is tolling to make that difference,
Yeah.
or have the legislature, because 100% of the gas tax goes into transportation. So the only two ways is to increase that gas tax or to toll. I'm not opposed
We're
to.
collecting more gas tax right now at
No,
almost $5.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm not opposed to tolling. I want the bulk of our visitors to pay it though.
Yeah.
I advocate, minimal fee, $25 annually for a local, to get an annual pass. Let's toll the visitors. Listen, there may be some of you listening to me today that totally disagree about tolling the visitors, but I can tell you right now, somebody coming from north,
Let's look at the Chesapeake.
coming across the Chesapeake Bay
Yeah.
Bridgestone,
Yeah.
paying $32 one way,
Yeah.
coming down Chesapeake Expressway,
Yeah.
coming into the county, they're not gonna let $50
I don't
hold
think so
them
either.
back when they're spending right here in Kill Devil Hills on a 16-bedroom home, $29,000 a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna let $50 hold them back.
It's not going to.
I tell people, my wife and I went to Maine last April. We drove the New Jersey Turnpike.
Oh my gosh.
One way
How
was
much?
$74.
There you go.
Wow.
We could, and they're proposing a $15 toll. If we quadruple that to 45, 50, $60, $60, their projections are we'll make up that money, that shortfall for the bridge. So
Not just being on 95 and you got the opportunity, there's an accident right up ahead and you can get in that HOV lane
Yeah.
and they change it based on what's happening over here, or
Absolutely.
it also gets higher when too many people are in the HOV
Absolutely.
lane to keep you from going on it. And
Right.
it was $24. I've jumped on it, like I had to get to Northern Virginia to see my son and we had a time set,
Right.
for some things, and yeah, $24.
yeah, right.
And it was just like I could have been
Yeah.
stuck in traffic for an hour, or the $24, and I was like,
Absolutely.
no.
So that's a way to make it up. But here's the deal: the division, our division, if we postpone it, we'll get 173 million, excuse me, to do other projects throughout the division. It still doesn't take away the step requirement or approval for the mid-Curry tuck. It'll just push it down the road
Right.
until they find some kind of solution to make up, and I rounded it up to $1 billion, but it's 958
You might as
million.
well round it.
Yeah, you might as well round it up.
That's
So,
another.
and then NCDOT did say at the end of the meeting, they're still looking for other avenues to try to.
So we just
continue.
keep getting penalized
Yeah.
because the can just keeps
Yeah,
getting
the can
kicked
just
down the
keep
road,
going.
Well,
and
it's-
this has been
it's-
going
it's
on.
the way that the STIP scores, they're just.
Yeah.
Exactly,
We
but
just don't compete with
We
the other
don't.
part of the
But
state.
because they won't get started, and I thought in this last round of, okay, this is looking hopeful, this may happen in my lifetime, that I thought we did something to kind of
They issued the permits.
stop, what was gonna happen on the, lawsuit level
Well, it's
and,
possibly they're still gonna
go
file a
around it,
lawsuit.
right?
Yeah.
And so, I thought we had found a way to work around that and we might see this. I mean, I'm going back 27 years when I
Yeah.
headed up the
Oh,
Currituck
yeah.
Chamber.
Oh, yeah.
It had been talked about for
Right.
27 years before that.
Right.
And here we are, 2026, and
Yeah.
we're talking about, well, you probably won't see that bridge. And we're already hearing from the town of Southern Shores, the town of Duck, what's happening with traffic there.
Right.
And it's just like, we know, the bridge was approved, we're gonna see this happen, and then here we go again.
Yeah, here's the deal though, a decision's gotta be made by the 16th of April. Because the RPO members, our RPO members have gotta vote that day to let NCDOT know something. So I've gotta have this conversation. I've already had the conversation individually with my commissioners, but we gotta have a public, that's under our next April meeting to discuss what direction.
So while
we'd like
the
to see it
cost
go.
is going up, revenues have also gone up. So there should have been that, offsetter built into the cost of the project. This is what we see. If it's not done by this time, you can
Right.
calculate a certain percentage of an increase in the cost. And to say that, well, now it costs this much more. Well, let's look at also the revenues. There has been talk of a public-private partnership. There has been talk, you know, as you mentioned, the tolls. Mark Vassnight said there'll never be toll road in North Carolina. That's been years ago. So, and you're seeing it be successful elsewhere. I don't even know what that Chesapeake Expressway is making with tolls now on the weekend as high as they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a half for a
everything
very short distance.
Oh, and all of the, just what has grown up around that. Because of that toll road. Look at the shopping centers, and I was like, you got a Cracker Barrel and a Walmart and a Target. So, and right there. Because of that toll road. So yeah, it's.
Well, I just believe that that's not gonna deter tourism, coming down here. Not when they're paying $29,000 a week on a 16-bed.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, things like that don't deter me when I go on vacation.
Same here.
It deters me for paying $29,000.
I've got two.
And that's kind of like not the norm.
I've got 2 smart passes, one in each vehicle. You know, and I'm gonna take advantage of it. I'm not gonna go down 158 and not go the expressway and go down Battlefield Boulevard and take me another 20-30 minutes to get where I'm going. I'm going right down there.
And that's what most people do, particularly when they're on vacation, because you know they might have as much time on the beach as they can. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming in.
Donna, I had one other thing. What about these septic tanks? Don't we have a meeting the end of the month?
Yeah,
we're going to be going to have.
Yeah, that's what the CRC is doing too, the septic tanks and the rules on that. And so we've been invited to the meeting that the Coastal Federation is having with the other stakeholders on the 30th. And you know, that whole issue with the houses falling in down in Buxton and the septic tank and what do you do about that? That's a really difficult issue.
Difficult.
And so I would say that's probably one of the most challenging issues. You got the hot spot issues with NC-12 and then you got that issue with the houses and the natural processes that are occurring down there. And there are no easy solutions.
No, they're not.
And they're not. And then even if there is a solution identified, where's the money going to come from? You know, so.
And then we're looking at happy tanks, happy banks, or as I say, don't be crappy, be happy. With our septic initiative with the town of Duck, we just awarded the town of Duck a $5,000 grant to help pay for septic inspections for homeowners in the town of Duck. And we hope to see that replicated to the other 4 towns that do not have a septic health initiative and Dare County to encourage people to get their septic tanks inspected. And
well, you know, how many years ago was it that I think Nags Head started it, but when I was on KDH's board,
20 years or so.
We gave them back then $75 to a family towards having it septic tank.
We got this grant from NC Realtors.
It's based on what Nags Head's doing, because it's a really positive thing. Because most people don't understand septic tanks.
Especially a lot of out-of-town homeowners.
It's the water quality, but you know the septic tank issue down there in Buxton is just it's a real sticky wicket because
those are very unhappy tanks.
I mean, you know, because the rules, the way that they're written, they allow those septic tanks to be repaired, and it's a repeat and wash cycle, and it's not really doing anybody any good because it allows a house that otherwise couldn't be occupied to give that property owner hope that his house is going to be certified for reoccupancy just because the septic is there. And then, you know, in some instances they fix the septic and then it's gone a week later. So that's a big push, and so we'll see how that works out with the CRC. I mean, the CRC meeting last month was pretty. They seem to understand that something needs to change with the septic rules and something needs to change with the hardened structures, but we'll see how that shakes out. It's that balancing act, and how are the environmental groups going to come in and step in and say what they're going to say, and when it's all at the end of the day, there needs to be a resolution to it because it's difficult for Dare County.
We've got our work cut out for us in 2026.
You do, Bob.
Yeah.
Your calendar's going to be full in 2026 too.
We appreciate all that you've done and for being there
and being the leader that you are and getting the
taking
state
care of
engaged
business
like
as we
that.
say.
Well, we've had some really, really good successes in 2025, and I'm excited to share that with the public next Wednesday. We really have had some huge successes. I mean, you stop and think about it over the years. I mean, we've spent $90 million on new EMS stations,
Yes.
20-some million dollars on a new COA campus.
Yes. it's
Now
beautiful.
another $25 million on an early college.
Yeah.
And the list goes on and on. A new youth center in Manio to the tune of $8 million. EMS facility to the tune of $14 million. An SPCA building to the tune of $8 million. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. I'm really, really proud of the accomplishments since my term.
And we just had a meeting earlier, and this was brought up, in which here's a little PSA for everybody. So on your insurance, make sure where it says how close you are to a fire station, that there was someone in Kill Devil Hills that checked their policy, and they had it rated that a fire truck would need to come from Manio.
Oh, wow.
Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
Wow.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
make sure you're looking at your
Wow.
policy to
Absolutely.
see where
Yeah.
it is
That's
that they're
a- yeah,
saying
that's
that
a
the
big
nearest fire
standard.
station is. Since
Yeah.
we've gotten these new facilities,
Yeah.
definitely look at that.
Right.
Because that was the motivation for some of the new facilities.
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
enabling That. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the time we see this, it will be after that.
Right.
So our members that aren't able to attend will be able to watch this, and then they can go to Current TV and watch the full presentation that you give. And
Yeah.
thank you for coming in and speaking with us. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I try to keep it under an hour. The state of the county might go about 1:15, but just got a lot to cover.
A lot to cover.
And I'll move fast, but you know me, I like to work the crowd.
Yes.
I like to have a lot of fun with the people.
It's about
sitting there.
networking too.
Yeah.
It
Get
is.
in there
It
and
is
see
about
some folks you haven't
networking.
seen
It
in a while.
absolutely is.
So,
Well, again, thank you for your time. It's always good to have you in, and we'll probably see if we can get time on your calendar later this year
Yeah.
to get caught up before the
That's
end of
right.
the year, because
Happy
there's
to
just
do it.
always so much going on to
Yeah.
hear about. Yeah. All
Happy
right,
to do
that's it, folks. We're gonna wrap it up for this
Let's
edition
get
of
real.
Let's
I
Get
say
Real.
we do.
Yeah.
All right.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
thank you.
Okay, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you all.